theme today is early histories, African American histories within Germantown. And you'll hear a lot about Brownstown. Brownstown is near the corner of 118 and Black Rock Road. If you go out towards 28 on 118 all the way out. But we have here with us Jamie Tolliver, right here closest to me.
Yeah.
Jamie is the great-great-grandson of William Brown of Brownstown. Named after his great-great-grandfather. Jamie lives in DC, Temple Hill. But his mother grew up here, and he knows a lot of folklore about what happened. He also just brought these beautiful exhibits about Brownstown, about the Brown and the Campbell family. So you're welcome to check these out afterward. Also with us is Mr. Kenneth Greene. Otherwise known as Jerry Greene. Mr. Greene grew up in Germantown, in Brownstown. Lifetime resident of Germantown. I won't give you his age, but it goes back a little way. Mr. Brown served in our military, and he was also a medical researcher at NIH. But other than those, he's been around here, and he's a wonderful person to get to know. Looking forward to hearing from him. Last but not least, our convener our moderator on the end here, seventh generation ancestor of enslaved folks here in the Germantown area. His great-great-grandfather was a freedman in Stewarttown, which is an older African-American enclave in the Montgomery Village area. Both a president at one time of the chapter of the NAACP, Montgomery County, as well as the Maryland State. If I was to try to list all the things he's done, it would take the entire time. Among other things, appointed by President George Bush to head up the Small Business Administration a few years back. More recently, he was the Upcounty Regional Services Director, appointed by Mark Elmridge, and most recently representing us at the state delegate, District 39, Mr. Greg Wims. Yes. So this building was in significant disrepair just a few years ago. And yet we had a vision for creating a museum in this room, a museum of banking. And we got a $10,000 grant to do so. And we began the design, but it wasn't too long before we realized there was a much bigger cost, and that was actually upgrading the building. So we got a grant from Maryland Historical Heritage Trust a couple of years ago for $94,000 to completely renovate this building. There was foundation issues, there was water issues in the basement, there was all sorts of issues with walls and everything. And we have been working on it. What you see now just appeared, a few months ago. And it was contingent upon an under $94,000 raised locally. Well, I'd be happy to know, and I'm sure many of you contributed to this, we are now at $74,000 towards that $94,000. So we're getting close. What do we need the other $20,000 for? Well, if you came in, you'll notice there's no ramp there. We were hoping that wouldn't be an issue for folks. We were on pins and needles, hoping that wouldn't be an issue for folks. We need to build a nice ramp for access to all people that might want to come to this building. And as you can tell, we also need to landscape this area. So we're asking if you would like to give towards that campaign to help us with that last $20,000. You can knock it out in one check. No, whatever amount you'd like to give, you can give a check to Cheyenne in the back, or you can. There's a QR code. Can you hold up that QR code?
Oh yes.
Yeah, that QR code. You go right there, and you can give to our account online. So we very much appreciate your contributions towards that campaign. All right, that's over to you, Greg.
Well, thank you, Norm, and thank you, Germantown Historical Society, for putting this on. And thank all of you for coming out today. because this is something's history. As we get older, our memories go, and so we have today some gentlemen that can tell you all about Germantown. And the one thing I would say before we start is that the Wims family started from Clarksburg, but my dad was born and raised right where Montgomery College is now, in Germantown, where the Globe is. And they were like as tenant farmers, I guess you'd say, so coming out of slavery and then working for $1 a day or something. But I'm so proud and so happy to know that their history is through there. And the college knows that's where my granddad and my dad was born, right there. So with that, because we have a lot of great speakers here that we'll talk about, I want to start with the first. So we'll start with you, Ms. Greene. Can I also call you Reverend Greene also?
That's not necessary.
So, okay, Mr. Greene, because some people don't know, but I know him because he's been a mentor to me.
Yeah.
You heard about my background is because of Mr. Greene and we were able to do what we do. So the first question will be, and then it'll be the same question for you, Mr. Brown. We're in Germantown.
But Brown.
Okay, good, thank you. Where in Germantown area did you live growing up, and did you stay in that area, and how long?
Well, let me get into it. I was born and raised on Rippleford Road. On Rippleford Road, just below the Baptist church. Of course, that Baptist church was then built by Mrs. Bowman, Miss Libby Bowman's family, who was right up here in Germantown. Some of you may know. Of course, I know you know her. And I was, like I said, I was born and raised right there in that area. I was just below that, over in Pine Top, it was called, where I live. The reason why they called it Pine Top, because it was came from the ground that we got, that I was born and raised on, came from the Gasaway plantation. Mm-hmm. The Gasaway plantation ran from 28 Clara to Copper Road. That's where the Brownstown, the Gasaway plantation ran. And my great-grandfather bought a piece of ground from that plantation, and it sets right off of Brookwood Road, of course. And as it sets off that road there, I want you to know that the reason why it was called Pine Top, because all you could see was the tops of pine trees from Brookwood Road. From then it was called Germantown Road. Named that road later. But that's where I was born and raised, right there. On the opposite side of the road was the Lehmans at that time. The Lehmans, from right over here, right, the Lehman farm. They owned that farm there. Later in years, as I became a little bit older, I worked on the farm over here at the port. But after the Lehmans left that farm, Colonel Wright bought that farm. Colonel Wright bought that farm right across from Pine Top, right on the road. And so I've spent in fact, all of my life, other than the 4 years I was away in the military, right here in Brownstown and in Germantown. That's been my surroundings, basically all of my life. I spent right around in that particular area. Now, there was another question. I was a second part to that question.
Well, did you move away? Did you always stay? That was.
Well, of course, later years I moved. After I married, I came out the military and married. I built a house in Quince Orchard, of course. Mm-hmm. So I'm still not too far away. Mm-hmm. Amen. And I've always gone to the church. I was born and raised right in the church, right there on Black Rock Road. It was then called United. I wasn't called United Methodist. It was called Methodist Episcopal Church. That's what it was called way back when. And I was raised from a kid right there in that church. I have been choir director there for over 80 years now. I wasn't but 77 or 8 years old when I started to direct the choir at that little church on the road, which is called Asbury. And but in 1959, it was, that church burned down. When that church burned down, of course, we had just had rehearsal. This is funny. We had just had rehearsal. We had a short, and closed the church, had a short in the wall from the electrical, and we had a short in the wall. The church burned down. And they called us back and told us that, the church had burned down. But that was interesting because we had just had rehearsal there. And so that happened there. But other than that, of course, talking about Brownstown, there was a store in Brownstown. I want you to know that. There was a store owned by a lady by the name of Mrs. Florence Holly, right there at the corner where the building is now. Where that building is right there on on Black Rock and 118. There was a store there, and that store was owned by Mrs. Florence Holly. Of course, my wife nowadays and times, amen. The Brownstown was named after her people because her grandfather, it would be her great grandfather, owned the whole town. He bought 10 acres of ground, 10 acres of ground, and they called that Brownstown. And now on one side of that, on one side of the Black Rock Road, I want you to know, was owned by Selvis, which was a white farmer there. Selvis owned that farm. Of course, I should know about that. The many potatoes that I picked up off of that farm. As a kid, you go around to farmers, and my grandmother, others would hire us out as kids to pick up potatoes and things like that for farmers, whatnot. So on that other side was owned by Selvis all the way down that side. But on the right side was all Brownstown because it was the Camels, the Browns, it was all black on that side. But the Selvis, of course, was a white family. But on the right side was all black, all the way from 118 now, of course. We used to be called the Germantown Road. see, there's some people here who know. It was called Germantown Road. But that at that time, it was really interesting, though, because that whole town, like I say, was named Brownstown after that 10 acres of ground that he bought there and was distributed out to his sisters and cousins and things of that nature. That whole area, he gave each one a piece of ground. And actually, Brownstown really started just below Riverford Road, just below there, because the first person on that below Riverford Road was by a lady named Eliza Jackson. She was the first black lady in that area who sold cosmetics. First black lady, her name was Eliza Jackson. And she was the only black lady who had a car in Brownstown.
And with that, we're gonna stop right there on that question and come back to you because we wanna go to other counties, because we're coming back with other questions. So first of all, we're so honored to have Miss Gladys Lyons here to join us, and she'll be the third panelist. And the question, Junior, we're gonna ask Mr. Tolliver. Did you grow up in the Germantown area? If not, in Greendale or whatever, and why did they move? So tell us your story and what's your family.
Wow. No, I didn't grow up in the Germantown area, but my mother was born in this area. They were born off Black Rock Road. My mother left this area at the age of 13. And I grew up in the DC area. We're born in the old Freeman's Hospital. Yeah, but I was told by Pearl Greene, she was the only person right there who was alive, who she passed away last year at 106, that knew my mother. My mother would have been 106. I'm 69, she was born in 1918. Wow. And she was called the pretty little girl that had to leave Germantown. Well, you know, she became due. But anyway, we never really came back and forth. My aunts used to come up here. And I figured basically and stuff with some bad memories and stuff. But I'm glad that I got to come, started coming up here, I think in 2004 at a Brown's family reunion. That's when I first met Jerry. And from then on, I've been up here. I got to renew my membership with the Montgomery County Historical Society, Germantown Historical Society, because I've got a lot of information of my family, and I'm not only just a Brown, you mentioned the Campbells. I'm a Brown, I'm a Campbell. That information is documented over here. Jackson, Johnson, Warren, a part of the Prather family, Stewarts, all of it, Yes, indeed. Oh man, what you talking about? Matter of fact, I'm writing a piece called "I Keep Finding Me," and because every time I find a different name, I connected another name to it. Jerry informed me. I asked him. I never knew my grandfather. I never met my grandparents. Both of them had passed away before I was born. George Beckwith was my grandfather. George Beckwith died in 1954. I wasn't born until 1956. Oh, matter of fact, that's my brother over there and my niece. We are all Browns and Campbells. And so never met them, but their history, next to Jerry are the Beckwith family, and like I said, the Campbell family. I go to the Campbell family reunions, but what blew me away was my desire, to basically, and it was a strong desire to find out who I was, and who I was really connected with. Matter of fact, let me read this to you and stuff, because this was that inspired me to basically be here today. Right. My inspiration for researching my history of Brownstown, the Brownstown community in Germantown, was a strong desire to learn who and whose I am as it relates to God and my ancestors, for which I, at that time for years, was clueless. For 30 years, I was living a destructive lifestyle, using drugs, drinking alcohol, and disrespecting myself and everything and everyone I came in touch with. But in 1998, I became a member of Union Temple Baptist Church in Southeast DC, and under the tutelage of Pastor Willie Wilson. And it was an African-centered church that taught us to know our past, so we can understand our present in order to move on into the future. And at that time, I realized that I knew absolutely nothing about my past, my ancestors, and so my search began. In my bio, I spoke of my mother's birthplace, which is Germantown, Maryland. So I searched the internet and found this from the Germantown Historical Society. And as I say at that time, I struck gold. This was in 2004. The information about Germantown came from the Germantown Historical Society. At that time, still, President was Susan Soderbergh. As I scrolled down through the history overview, I came to the Civil War era, and it spoke of two German families that freed their slaves before the Civil War that were known as the Gassaway and the Guys. And one of the free slaves of the community was named William Brown. And at that time, I did not know that was my great-great-grandfather, who was formerly belonged, I think, to the Gassaway, because they grew up in the Gassaway family. And in 1868, Mr. Brown purchased 10.5 acres of land from Miss Teresa Hoffman, on the Black Rock Road and Lake, which later became known as Brownstown. And said, I'm proud to say I'm the great-great-grandson of William Brown. And that is what still inspires me today. Now, my personal journey of finding my past cannot be put into words. So let me say that I'm still spiritually on an emotional high. It's so awesome, it's such an awesome feeling to know your beginning. Yeah, that blows me away. See, you know, home is where all our stories begin. But due to my mother's emotional, painful past, she was a little reluctant to speak about her past in Germantown. So for today, after spending 30 years of my life abusing drugs and alcohol, and being an irresponsible father of 3 children, I'm now working as an addictions counselor for the last 22 years.
Praise God.
And I teach clients not to dwell on their destructive past, but to help to empower themselves to release the God power within them by understanding and knowing where they come from. So when some find positive history, because I found some breakers and some holes as clients, which I found out was related to me down there. So when they find out, if they get, and I call it getting a hit, you know, they speak of the spiritual and emotional high that has taken the place of destructive the use of drugs and alcohol. So thanks, you know, I just thanks, you know, Jerry, you, and all of the historical societies for allowing me to basically find out who and whose I am. And continuing this, and I keep finding more and more and more. And this thing is so inspiring, you know, not just to me, to learn also that, you know, about the part of slavery, and the part of the folk who basically and stuff who enslaved us, who also allowed us to basically, hey, you know, gave us an opportunity of buying some land, you know, and basically, and now, and also this is my bloodline.
And we're gonna come back with the next question. Thank you very much for that. That was wonderful. And Ms. Myers, if I may, that is the second question. We're gonna come back to you last about your school. That is, where did you go to school? And that's this next question, then your grandfather. So we asked you, where did you go to school? And then we'll come back down the line.
That school was like Paracode farming. She right next to the Paracode farming.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
We'd like to answer the
The
question. Yes.
school that I went to was the one-room school right there on 118.
Yes.
One-room school right on 118.
Yeah.
The one-room school was given to us from the white school,
Yes.
okay? Because the white kids went to they built a new school for them out here in Germantown. The school right over the hill here.
Yes.
And but they gave that one-room school to the black kids, okay? But we did walk back and forth to school. Hardly ever missed a day.
Right.
And not only that, but the kids would, of course, many times we had to walk, and I can recall it just as well as I'm looking at you today.
Yes. Yes.
Some of the kids be on the buses, particularly, well, of course, the white kids had a bus before the black kids. The black kids had to go all through, that came all the way from Clarksburg, all around to then pick up the kids that way. But as we walked to school, during that time, small black kids, as the buses would pass, sometimes they would throw things out at us.
Yes.
I think things like that. See, a lot of people don't know, but I do. I'm part of that generation. And I know them. Thank you for coming, sis. Just ask my daughter. And that's my son. But I'm glad they came too. But yes, they would throw things out at us as we walked the roads, tried to get an education.
Amen.
That one-room school was really, now again, I bring up this name, the Lehmans, because he always told me that That was the school. In fact, he showed me a picture once with his picture on it, John up to Lehman. Oh, you don't know John up to Lehman. Yeah, I mean, the Lehman's in the like I said, I worked for him for the time I was, I guess, 8 or 9 years old, riding a hay-fork horse. And I worked with him until I was 17, till I went into the military. I worked on that farm. Doing school, but I worked on that farm. Came across y'all's place, and many days walked across those fields to get there. And I was just a young kid, but I can remember it so vividly as though I'm sitting here looking at you today. And they were just such a nice people. And they were talking about, today we talk about integration and all of that type of thing. But John Lehman, he lives in Clarksburg right now. He and I, many a day, have slept on the same bed beside one another during that time, because we were just that close. We were brothers in Christ, and I want you to know that. And things like that brings tears to my eyes sometimes when they think about different things what people has done, And there was such a nice family. And anything that they got, that their father would give them, they gave the same thing to me. They would give me candy. Rebecca Lehman, who ran the post office for I don't know how many years. It was a long time, what I say, a long time. Whatever those kids got, she would give me some also. Just share. And when I think about people saying this integration thing, and we can't get along. Yes, we can get along.
Yes, we can.
Don't you tell me. We can get along.
Thank you so much.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Tom, what did you want to add? I know you know school here. Anything you want to add before we go?
Well,
to Ms.
my aunt used to tell me, my mother's younger sister, many miles they used to have to walk to
Yes.
school. And in this book, it speaks of my great-great-grandfather who purchased some land, the land up where Asbury United Methodist Church is, and basically built that one-room schoolhouse that was given to him by the white school, right?
Yes.
That's what it says here, and I wasn't aware of that. Right, it was on 118, but it was a one-room.
I know about it. I went there.
And they also spoke of basically and stuff, them that having school, first of all, in the church, I think prior to.
I had that information.
Right, I think that's where the information came from. Man, anyway. And look, I'm just repeating, the history of what I didn't know, but what I do know now. I'm so excited about realizing that I'm a part of that history. And that's the piece that, I'm a part of the history. And like my mother, I was told before when she was coming up, and as a member of Asbury, she also played organ. I had no idea, at 12 years she played organ in the church. So my brother picked up, he's a musician playing by ear, but we never knew that. But that part of the history that I am aware of. And also, on the way up here, I was telling my niece that Great Seneca State Park, the Woodlands, Clark Road, the Campbell family. My ancestors came up on there, Clark Road and stuff. And they are buried in that same Rosalima cemetery.
That's right.
7 granite crosses with no names on it. And Susan, basically, matter of fact, thank you, helped clean off some of the graves this summer. And also there's a plaque there that speaks to, from the Archdiocese, about the unknown slaves who are buried up in there and stuff, So I know that's when I just come through, it's so much history that I'm a part of, and I just like say I keep learning more and more.
But it's an honor.
With that, Ms. Lyons, so we get to you now. We want to ask the same question, but want to ask you, talking about school, what
No, I get too emotional because I put myself in.
But this one might be a good question. What did you do all the other play, like ball? What entertainment did you have? You, Mr. Greene, Mr. Brown, what did y'all do? That's what we wanted to know, what you did. And I thought we will be last on this one on what you did. Do you have in your vocal?
They always came up to the church always doing homecomings. They were always there, Mr. Laura Beckwith and his mother and all of those folks that came up from Washington.
I was too young at that time.
And so you're not gonna get by me too much.
When it comes to athletics and stuff, I do remember, and Rick, you remember the one time we came up here at our Uncle Sherman Plummer.
Oh, yeah.
My aunt, Marjorie,
Yeah.
married Sherman Plummer, and I remember we came up and they played baseball. And he played softball. He was a great softball player, you know, Sherman Plummer. And so that's another connection, you know. And so, you know, those are the few things that I do remember. But from every time I come up here now, you know, and matter of fact, I've learned I do not put distance when it comes to a name. Not anymore. I met a cousin a few years ago, and we are connected from Tallahassee and in Maryland area. And matter of fact, sitting on your porch, 2005, at the reunion, I was talking about my biological father from Tallahassee, and it was a cousin from here, you know, kind of hearing my story, and her husband was from Tallahassee, you know, and he said that his aunt, his great aunt, happened to be my grandmother. And a cousin that I met at Union Temple kept saying I look like a cousin of hers, you know. And I basically said, well, she said he was lived in soup, and I said, okay, well, I don't know. But anyway, when she went to the family reunion, the next year. Matter of fact, we were getting ready to see each other, you know. But when she told me she was going to the family reunion in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, I said, you know what? My biological father's from Tallahassee, Florida. And she said, Tallahassee, well, that's where that cousin that you look like is from. So she gave him a call, you know, and she put me on the phone with me. They said, "Man, what's your father's?" You know, they called him, you know, he had a name, a nickname, about a bird. I said they called him Duck. And he said, "Oh, we've been looking for you boys for over 30 years. Check this out. My cousin, the young lady who I was talking to, come to find out, her grandfather and my grandmother were brothers and sisters." Oh! Ain't that something? And that's and then you meet my cousin sitting on his porch on Brown, just married to a knight, which that was my grandmother's name.
Well, with that, and so we're going to have you talk about your childhood, but after that, we'll open up the question.
Yeah.
So this will be the last one, then that way you can ask all of them what you want. So tell us about the fun things you did as a child.
One
thing? Or the things that you did. Maybe.
Played in the evenings as children. I'm starting to. As children, we played I Spy. Everybody know what I think about I Spy? Everybody do anything but I Spy.
I know that.
Jumping rope.
We
We always had lot of things to do in the evening. You know, after children nowadays, Jackson said they just flick the fingers. But we stayed outdoors and was glad to stay out there until dark, until they called us in. Playing game. What games we didn't play. Bird, people don't even know about that game. Play bird. What you do, you hide behind somebody, got to run around the house. What bird are you? I'm the red bird. Run red, one red. Until you get back home to the person where you started. If you get caught, you know, then it was just so much fun growing up. Things like that just gets me sometimes. I think about it, and it's just fun just to know that we did so many things. Played softball, played hardball out there, didn't have no darn hardball, we had a tennis ball, we hit the tennis ball for a hardball. But you see, these are the type of things that we did, and we had a lot of fun. In the evenings, my grandmother, that's who raised me, my grandmother would always have something nice to eat, especially on Sunday. She'd always have ice cream. If she didn't have it, she'd give us, what was it, about 10 cents or 15 cents, and tell us go meet the ice cream man, because ice cream man was gonna come down 118. And we'd go and meet them and bring them, bring back ice cream to the house. Not only that, but every Sunday, just about, the families would come together. That was a good thing.
Yeah.
Families came together, sat at the tables together. It was just so much family. I can see my family right now. I'm a type of person, I guess I reminisce a lot. It's in my mind. I can just see these things still happening. Because like my grandmother, I'll say this, and it's the truth. My grandmother had 17 children. Did you hear what I said?
As I said, 17.
17 children. 17 children.
Wow.
And I want you to know, but they got together on, of course, all of us always there, but when they got together on Christmas, you talking about having a time. I think it almost upset the Christmas tree. But nevertheless, as I was born right there in Germantown, right off Brookwood, we only had a 4-room. My grandmother only had a 4-room house. A kitchen, a sitting room back in there, that was small. Their room, my grandmother's, grandfather's room was upstairs on the right side. Children's room was on the left side, upstairs. Of course, we couldn't get that many beds in there. So, as small kids, that's after the older ones had gotten older and gone off and gotten jobs and whatnot. I'm talking about smaller kids now.
Yeah.
She did, you know what we did? She'd take all the coats and things and for winter, lay them on the floor.
All right.
Upstairs.
All right.
Right by the chimney.
And that was it.
And that was it. And she said, if the coach is downstairs, make sure you stay warm. Stay by the chimney. Oh my God. A 4-room house raising that many kids. I think about that also. Some people say, I got a 6-room house, I got a 7-room house, I got an 8-room house. What I need that for? That's how a person can raise 17 kids in a 4-room house. It's just, to me, we can get along. And we can get along as family. And we can have a great time together. God bless them.
God bless you,
I would say this is fantastic.
That's it. I'm telling you, Judy.
So now, we're gonna open up to all of you for the next 25 minutes to ask questions of all the panelists. So we want to ask, you heard the background, the stories of Germantown. Who would want to ask the first question? I'm sure there's a lot of questions. Okay, you're in first. I know Mr. Mike Johnson.
I know Mr. Green for a while.
Yes, we've known each other for a while.
Quite a while. I wonder if you would bless us. I know you man of God. I know you. Could you bless us with a verse? You've been to choirs.
Oh, the choir.
Your favorite gospel song. Can you bless the verse song? Just a verse.
This is a song.
I trust in God wherever I may be.
Yes, Lord.
On mountain peak or on a stormy sea, though come what may, from day to day, my heavenly Father watches over me. I trust in God. Yes, sir. I know He cares for me. I trust in God wherever I may be. I trust in God, yes sir, wherever I may be. But my heavenly Father watches over me. want to know. I don't know about nobody. When he watches over me.
Now, that was a wonderful question.
I agree.
Thank you, Mr. Greene.
Yes.
Who has the next question? I think you'd asked some questions earlier. She did. Oh, I didn't see you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Mr. Greene, do you know who founded Pine Top, who the families were?
Excuse me?
Do you know who founded Pine Top, who the families were?
Yes, it was the Halls. They sold it to my great-grandfather, Pine Top, over off of Riverwood Road. And as I say, they bought that off of the plantation of the Castaways. And as they bought that property off the Castaways, of course, being a black family, you could not have you didn't have records. And whenever you kept records, it was just unforeseen for them. I'm telling you what I've known. I'm not telling you something I heard. I'm telling you what my grandmother and all of them told me. So they had to pay for that piece of property. That property during that time wasn't, but I think my grandmother told me it was $7 per acre. $7 per acre. And they had to pay for it twice because they didn't have records of it. So that's why I'm telling you about that Pine Top area over there. They bought that off that. They gave them that bought over that particular area.
Do you remember how long it took you to walk from Pine Top over to church in Brownstown?
I could walk. If I run fast, I could make it. I make it in about 20 minutes. But if I walked, we could walk there in half an hour. So. Gotcha, Ms. Phillips.
The question is, I know the road that goes back into Pine Top
Yeah.
isn't open anymore.
Mhm.
When you went to Pine Creek. How do you come out? And there's still people living back in there, but
It's still people living back in there. Now that was actually their right of way.
out there.
And yes,
Yeah,
but they went across
Our farm.
you all's farm
Dad had this
along
house.
that fence line and down that other fence line, the Dr. Marvin fence line, right on down to the house. You could get down into Pine Top. Get down into
They
Pine
come
Top.
out through, development. It was
Yeah, now it comes out in front of Northwest School, or what is that? What's the school called?
Northwest.
Northwest, that's right. Yeah, they cut it a new way through that, told them to come for another bit. So they put a road down in there now, that way.
Yeah, I remember the road, there was the actual right of way, got rough and was hard to drive on because of all the ruts. And a lot of times,
Sure.
they would come out through our field.
Right.
And unfortunately, Dad had to ask them not to do that.
That's right.
Because if you allow it for 20 years,
20 years, it could,
then they own it.
that's exactly
And
right.
somewhere around 18 years, he stopped.
That's exactly right. I remember this as well as
He
yesterday.
didn't like to stop him because he knew how hard it was to get out the other way, but he didn't want the farm cut through with the right of way.
Yeah, if we had a path, car path through it, but on that. Okay.
Sometimes you left the gate open to get the cows out too.
Right. Is there any other
Another
question?
question? Yeah, there's
Yes.
one.
I'm loving this, learning the history, but like, who makes these rules like 20 years and it becomes a right of way? And what other rules do we
That's
need
county.
to address now?
Yeah, the county
Yeah.
made that, made that rule that before, after 20 years, you could claim it as something.
Yeah, you could
be
claim
your
it if
own
somebody
right of way.
let you
Yeah,
use
it would be your right
A
of way.
right of way through their property
Exactly,
for 20
exactly.
years and didn't dispute it.
Exactly.
It became your right forever.
Yes, right. Yeah, that's where it goes.
I got a question, because I have pulled up a lot of information about William Brown and some of the land and everything. And it was something I found about him, his name being taken out of the atlas, which meant, I guess, it was in there. And I was just, don't know why would that be supposed, and they still have Brownstown on some little maps and stuff, you know. So my question was, what was, go ahead, because you mentioned it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jamie, it used to be a sign there right on the side road, Brownstown. But for some unknown reason, it was just taken out by the county and it was never put back. But the town still, as far as I'm concerned, it's still Brown. You see what I'm saying? But Brownstown ran from, like I said, up there, just above Missionary Reed's, of course, up there, up in that area. Go up to the top of the hill. Right to the top of the hill, that was Brownstown.
And we do have a marker in the Black Rock mill.
Oh, the old mill.
It speaks
Yes,
of mixed communities.
Yeah.
And they speak about, you know, the folk who ran the mill and also William Brown.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they got a plaque.
it's a whole, it's a marker.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, my question was, you know, like I said, you know, why was it still taken out of the atlas? Because it still seems to be
Right.
on the map.
Just like excuse me, I'm sorry, someone got a question.
Well, if you finish, we have a question back in the back, and then we saw you go.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
My question is, I'm hearing all the things you love to do and all of what made your families. I'm wondering if your parents or your grandparents warned you of things that were not safe for you to do. That because you were a black family in a, in a white society, what things should you stay away from doing?
What things did you stay away from doing?
What did they
Your
warn
parents.
you about?
Well, a lot of things you stay away from. But really, it was, we lived in I guess you could say, in an area where, of course, you know, during that time, a lot of segregation in our area. I must say that. You know that. I mean, everyone else. And, but usually we got along well together because I would say almost in every black family, they worked on a farm. They worked on a farm. And of course, there was no blacks who owned no farms other than the farm that blacks was.
My father owned his
Yeah,
farm.
but just like all of my folks basically raised on farms like James King's farm, Jim King's farm, Ralph Hammond's farm, which was the Castaway Plantation, places like that. And but each black person, when they got grown, most of them worked on farms until they were in about their late 20s, early 30s, and they started working on railroads, started working on the railroad, and they become closer to one another in that type of thing. And I want you to know that just about every, from Boyd, Germantown, and the Clarksburg area, and there was another area, Barnesville area. Most of those black folks, after they got in the age about 25, 30 years old, they worked on the railroad. And which was a great job for them during that time. They were getting away from the farm area, sort of. And people like me, during that time, started working on farms because I was a young fellow. So I could work on a farm. And just like Ms. Phillips there, when they came down into Germantown, I can remember it as if it was yesterday, when they moved into Germantown. I remember who they brought with them.
Wow.
Yeah, Ed Jackson, which is a black fellow, brought a fellow, Bob Gray worked for them during that time also. See, Cutie didn't come till later. He came later. They call him Cutie, but his name was James Johnson. He came later, and he was one of the first blacks to drive a milk truck to Thompson's Dairy.
First one.
Yeah,
Well, tank truck, first tank truck.
Yeah, your tank truck. I'm sure was. They didn't allow him to even drive a dump truck. Can you imagine?
He wanted,
A tank truck.
you want to hear what happened?
I remember.
That?
I remember.
Well, they taught him to handle tank truck, that's more difficult.
Yeah, I know.
Old can trucks, because then you just put them on, it's all muscle, put them on, but you had to take, secured samples
Yeah.
from the farm
Yeah.
for the tank truck. And when Kitty went down to take his test,
Mhm.
and he came back, Dad said, well, he's passed. He said, then let's take the test.
Because
He said, why not? He said, because they won't let black men take the test.
that's right.
My dad made a phone call, sent him back down there, and Kitty was the first first black milk truck driver.
That's
And
right.
he drove
It's right over here.
for us for a lot of years, and then he finally drove for another company I think until he retired.
Yeah, I think he drove
What
that.
was his name?
Yeah.
His name was James Jackson,
Yeah.
Johnson, but
Yeah, Cutie Johnson.
we called him Kitty
Yes,
Johnson.
that's the.
And one time, I was waiting at the
His name was James.
store. Yeah, James Johnson.
His name was James.
But I was waiting at the store where we always picked up the bus to go to high school on the Hummelford store in Warren, on
Yeah,
118 at Black Rock.
118, Clark.
And he comes driving the truck down, and I know it's Cutie, so I waved and yelled, I'm standing with all the white kids, hi Cutie, how are you? And he waves back, and I take heat for days.
Yeah, that's what they call him, Cutie.
That was his name.
Okay. Yeah, I got another question. here.
Well,
Excuse
before we
me.
go this way, because Norm had
Oh,
asked
excuse
a
me.
question here.
No,
No, 'cause Norm is going to lead him, okay. Go ahead.
okay, no, he did, yeah.
Norm, yield to you.
Oh, I was just wondering, when you were young, were there other black businesses in this area?
Was there
Are there any other black businesses in the area?
black businesses?
Shops
The only
or-
one was Mrs. Swan's Holly. That ran the store down on the corner.
on the corner.
On the corner. She had a business, and let's see. Other than that,
Beckwith, he ran
they-
Mr. Beckwith.
he didn't.
Bob Beckwith had the cement business.
Yeah, but
Box and-
Bob, who? Bob Beckwith?
he
Bob,
Bob, you mean?
Beckwith,
Yeah,
Bob Beckwith.
yeah, Bob Becker. His name was Wesley. His name was Wesley Becker.
That's my
In
grandfather's
concrete
brother.
work and
Talk about
other
that.
things.
Yeah. He worked in. He did plastering. He did plastering first.
Pardon?
He did plastering.
Yeah,
houses
last
first.
rain and
Yeah,
cement.
that's right. So, I think you're not gonna get by me too much.
Yeah.
So where,
Wesley was, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so like, where did you get your hair cut or get your teeth
Oh, yeah.
taken care
yeah.
of? Or like, if there weren't like a store shop front, where else would you go?
Well, we had a fella who used to come around to our houses. His name was James Praiser. Everybody called him Buddy Praiser. And he would go around to houses, and he would cut the children's hair, and he would stay overnight. Sometimes stay 2 nights. And he would do that with those old hard hair clippers. Pinch your hair, tear your hair. But I'm telling you the truth. And these are the types of things that we had to go through with. And of course, they would stay and they'd eat, and have dinner with us, and stay there overnight. And the next night, but we came in the evening, and wanted to stay somewhere. He always called my grandmother aunt. And her name was Julia. So Angie, he would call her, well, of course he didn't talk to her. Ann Doodle, he would call her. Can I camp here tonight? And he camped here tonight, the next day you had to cut everybody's hair just about with them clippers. I'm telling you. Yeah, so that was the way they got their hair cut until they, got up and go to barbers and whatnot. Of course, we had a big barber shop down in Rockville. So, like that.
Another question in the back from the Black Rock Center Executive Director.
This is a personal question, but yes, I am the CEO of Black Rock Center for the Arts, so the connection is beautiful between Black Rock Mill and these stories in the neighborhood. We also live here. I know you. We live in the Lehman farmhouse,
Yes.
off of River Ford. If you look at Germantown maps.
You mean on River Ford?
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
And we're in the old farmhouse. We don't know how old the house is because we predate tax history. Later on in Germantown, we just saw the census. There are at least 3 different families. I'm wondering if you have any stories. We don't know very much about the family, or about its descendants, or about the farm itself.
Uh-huh. Now, is that the original house still there? Is that the original house still there?
Yeah,
Good.
we're in the book.
Good. I got you. I thought I remember seeing that because Colonel Wright bought that after. Colonel Wright bought that after the Lehman. Right. Colonel Wright bought that after that. And but that also in that Lehman house, I might have. Did I tell you that my great grandmother was the nursemaid for the kids over there?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was the what you call it? Midwife. Yeah, midwife for Lynching. Her name was Gussie. That's the Lehman lady was named Gussie Lehman, and my great grandmother was the midwife for some of her kids. So I get this information. My grandmother, she said that, and I always had her listening here.
You writing it down?
Oh, we talk about it. I know it was not just keeping
All right. Another question here.
Well, statement one. Peggy Coleman wrote a book on historic houses.
Who was that?
And Peggy Coleman.
Oh, yeah,
And
Peggy.
the Lehman
I know
house,
Peggy.
she was trying to find it, and she didn't know where it was, and I took her back in there, and that book has a picture of the house. It's back in the development now, Colonel Wright's old house.
So is it? Okay, great.
So I can't remember the name of the book, but Peggy Coleman.
Yeah, okay.
And the other thing I wanted to say, you remember Joe Frazier?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well, Joe, when I was before I started school, Joe's job was to take care of the garden. And of course, being a little kid, I wanted to help. So he took all the broken handled tools and cut the handles off and taped them. And he had me out there working in the garden before I went to school.
Yeah. Yeah, he lived in Brownstown, of course.
He was happy to have.
Of course, that was, Mr. Frazier, state historic back.
Oh,
Remember?
yes.
Like Miss Birdie owned that whole, all that property.
From Sandy?
From the corner.
From Sandy?
From Birdie's corner.
Right.
Right straight on down past
Right,
the Bethwood. I mean, around down through that wooded area.
right.
Where the church connects, and,
That was my great grandfather's
Yeah.
wife
Yeah.
before she became a Frazier.
Right.
Sandy Beckwith.
yeah.
And that's where Bud Beckwith is his son.
Because where Debbie and them live now,
Right.
see that, that was their right of way.
Right.
To go down around there,
Right.
yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
excuse me,
Excuse me.
Mr. Noel's been waiting, and then we come to you.
Okay.
Go, please don't answer the question.
So at the time, Germantown, the town center was right here. How often did you guys, did you come here very often? And if so, what did you do here? How was that?
All the time. The store, of course, the big store was right here,
Yeah, that's the
and then they had another store up above, over the bridge, the pumpkin store, you call it, I guess. Then Bill Clemens got the store.
Bill Cummins had.
Yeah. Dickerson had that.
Dickerson.
Yeah, Dickerson had it first.
Yeah.
Dixon had it first, then Bill Clemens
Clemens
got
had
it. And then, because the one up over the bridge was called Pumpkin Store. The Pumpkin Store. And they were the same Pumphreys, I think, who was related to the Pumphreys who has the film office. They were all related. And of course, this was Germantown, where everybody did their shopping. And of course, you can come here you want to meet your friend? Come here on a Saturday morning.
I didn't see you on
And
Thursday.
everybody was being right here. I mean, you know the shop.
This was called New German.
Yeah, that's it.
Germantown didn't start here.
Yeah, it started
Germantown
back-
started at
back there.
Concord, and there was a store there, and a church, and a
Oh,
warehouse.
yeah, I know.
A few other things.
Yeah.
Then when the railroad came through in
Yeah.
1873,
Uh-huh.
they started moving it over here. And the interesting thing is this bank is built on the top of a spring. There's a spring in the bottom of the bank. And one time, Mr. Wood, who was running the bank, was in a hurry, because he was a farmer too, he was in a hurry to get out. And he forgot to, he closed the vault before he put the money in. Not good. So he tried to figure out what to do with it. And he said, you can't take it out, because they never believe I'd bring it back if they caught me beforehand. So we lowered the bucket down into the spring, and put the money in the bucket in the spring.
Yeah, that's a story.
Yeah, because the old store was over, the big frame store stood at Flower Road and 118.
Hungerford's ran it
Yeah.
in my lifetime.
Excuse me?
Hungerford's ran it in my lifetime. but before
No,
that-
Blanche Waters ran that store.
That was before.
Yeah, the store was actually Waters' store. It was called Waters' Store. In fact, they called it H.D. Waters. In fact, he got shot in that store.
Well, this young lady here been waiting to answer questions.
We'll get your picture first.
Right.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Do any of you know if you had any ancestors who joined the U.S. colored troops during the Civil War?
That's a good question.
I'm curious about that.
I was,
Over in, I do know that over in Sugar Land, in Boozle area, they had some troops that was during the Civil War.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, okay, well, you know that.
But I don't know if you know if you had ancestors
Yes,
who
that-
ran away with the Union or.
yes, I went to the Civil War Museum, on U Street.
Oh, yeah.
And I, got some information I left it at the house and records of some Browns
Right.
who actually were,
These guys are renamed there.
right.
Yeah, because I know that from that area over there in Sugar Land and all, remember we got that, there's people who was on that, in that particular.
I think you better have an answer to that.
Yes, sir.
I don't know the answer to that, but my question is, was any part of this area connected with the Underground Railroad?
Answer no, then from everybody down.
I'm not aware of it. It's,
Aware
Tony
of
Cohen?
that.
yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Right.
Unaware. Tony probably can give us an answer on that. Tony Cohen.
Yeah, Tony Cohen could, enlighten me on that. You know Tony? But Tony Cohen could tell you about that because he did that trip.
Right.
He did that trip on,
He's
Of course,
going
you know.
down next year, he's doing it
He's
again.
doing it
next year.
again.
yes, he did that.
In Canada.
Yes, he did that trip, that the Underground Railroad took. He took that particular trip.
Not that line.
But
We
anyway,
didn't come that far.
Okay.
Well, we almost at the end. And now, so if you have a question, let us know about 5 minutes ago, but I.
yes, sir.
You talked about elementary school. Did anybody go to middle school, high school? Did you have, was Carl around then?
Oh, yeah, I was the last class to graduate from Lincoln High School in Rockville, Maryland. In 1951. I don't mention it to nobody else, but
Then they went to Carver?
yeah, then they went to Carver. In fact, our class was the one that named that school Carver. I mean, our particular class. That school Carver. But yes, I'm glad you brought that up because I could tell you something that is very unusual. I mean, something unusual for people to really know. Now, I, of course, living in Germantown, I'm down on Riverport Road, had to run to 118 to catch the bus, go to the high school. to run to 118 and catch the bus. The bus went out, could only go out, went out 3:55. I mean 118, sorry, 118 to 3:55. And then you go down into Gaithersburg. When you get to Gaithersburg at the store there, you turn and you went to Stewarttown.
What?
You went to Stewarttown. I'm telling you, this is how I got to high school. You went to Stewarttown, picked up the kids in Stewarttown, come out of Stewarttown, go to Emory Road. I'm still on the bus. We the first family to get on. Okay, you come out of that, you go down, come back out. Buses could not go across the railroad track. They could not go across the railroad track. They had to go out, come back, and go back down. They come into Gaithersburg and go back down there. So, yeah, it's right here, it's right here. I have the book, but I have
in that book.
I have it long too.
Okay.
And, but it go to Emory Road, come out of Emory Road, come back to 355, and then go to Rock Grove, to high school. I got on the bus at quarter seven, and we got off the bus to get, when we got at Lincoln High School, 8:45. Same way coming home in the evening, we were the last guys to get off.
Will be the last question.
Wait a minute. What is common for people is, I also had to get on the bus around 7, and I ended up getting to Germantown Elementary School around 9, because we had to go, they went down Hartsville Road, back down Schaefer Road to the creek, back down 118 to the creek, back down Riverford Road to the creek, to Germantown to pick up the kids at the old Germantown. Then went to Germantown Elementary School. The bus rides and everything were very long, and my
I'm telling you.
went to Waterville High School.
Oh, yes, I remember it well.
Well, let's give our panelists a big hand.